Hello, in this video, what we're going to talk about is one of the scheduling fundamentals that you could consider doing as a way to kind of cut through the conversations and get to the point of what you need. And so I run into this often when you run into situations where we don't have enough on hand and customers start complaining and why didn't the customer forecast this, or how come this didn't happen in supply chain and anticipate this? And we can really cut through a lot of the conversations if we look at a couple of things here. If we look at supply versus demand, if we look at our lead time versus customer lead time, and if we look at capacity versus workload, okay? And then of course at the end of it, dollars in and dollars out, because we want to make money at the end of it. So the point I want to make is, when you look at supply and demand, there's really three conditions that can occur out there. Our supply can be 15 and the customer says, hey, I want 6. And that's pretty straightforward. We got enough to take care of the customer. Another situation could be we've got 15 and the customer wants 15. Now, again, that takes care of the customer. That's typically not a big issue. Unless it ripples down the road a little bit. But more often than not, what we run into is we've got 15 and the customer's saying, hey, I need 25. And so, in that situation, then we can get into conversations, like I said before, with, why didn't the customer forecast? And how come they're not giving us enough time and all this? But the bottom line is still what? I'm short 10. And so we got to figure out a way to get the other 10. Which kind of leads into the next conversation of our lead time versus customer lead time. It could be, this takes us 10 days to do it, and the customer says, hey, no sweat, I'll wait 20. And the response is typically what? Good luck with that. That rarely happens, if at all. Second situation then becomes, it'll take us 10 days, and the customer says, I can wait 10 days. It happens occasionally, not often, but more often than not, it's what? It's going to take us 10 days, and the customer wants it in 2. And again, cutting to the chase, the bottom line is what? We either get 10 down to 2 through process improvement or carrying extra inventory or something, or 2's got to be what? 2's going to go up to something bigger, 2 up to 10, 2 up to 8 or whatever. That's pretty cut and dry, as we've got to balance that conversation out. And more often than not, it'll be, what can we do to expedite and get things down from 10 days to 2 days? Either through expediting or deciding to carry more inventory long term. Then, of course, it brings up the third one, capacity versus workload. We can resolve the inventory, the lead times, but the bottom line is still what on capacity. Here's capacity, and I've got one of 3 conditions. My workload is less than capacity, my workload is right at capacity, or more often than not, my load is greater than the capacity. And again, in that situation, we can argue all we want, but the bottom line is what? Either capacity goes up, load goes down, or this overflow either moves in or gets pushed out. No way to get around that discussion. So these 3 together, they can kind of help us cut to the chase and figure out what to do without getting distracted by sidebar conversations and what else. We need to look at those long term, but the bottom line is still what? I don't have enough. I've got to find a way to do it quicker, and I got to balance out capacity. And so can't bury my head in the sand on these 3. I've got to deal with them straight up and make decisions both short term and long term, what we're going to do. And both of those have to be in alignment and support of the strategy. And if we do that, then the dollars in, dollars out conversation goes away, and we got a chance to be profitable. Short term, we might take the hit. Long term, we better confront these 3 and deal with them, because otherwise we're going to have more dollars going out and expedite fees and everything else, overtimes and such. We're not going to make money, and then that's going to hurt us profitably. So I think it's important to frame a number of our conversations under these 3 areas. They're almost like laws that we can't deny.